and gentlemen. Good evening and a warm welcome on behalf of the trustees of Lotus and Chrysanthemum Trust and myself, Dr. Geeta Badkilaya, the managing trustee. Our speaker in this second webinar in the monthly series is Professor Taga Masayuki, who will take us on a roller coaster ride of 60 minutes, covering the gamut of the encounters between the painters of Japan and India in the early 20th century in this short time. Professor Taga Masayuki is a visiting professor at the Center for South Asian Studies, Gifu Women's University. In fact, he's also doing his research there. He graduated from Yokohama City University and joined the Foreign Service of Japan in 1983. He has worked at the Japanese embassies in India, Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh, and as a Deputy Director, Regional Coordinator, Southwest Asia Division in Tokyo. He was posted as Consul-General at the Consulate of Japan in Kolkata from 2016 to 2020 and at the Consulate-General of Japan in Chennai from 2020 to March 2024. He has specialized in political science and foreign relations, but his area of interest is the soft power, considering the importance of people-to-people relations today. He specializes in Indian politics and South Asian affairs. The spiritual and cultural linkages between Japan and India could be traced back to the time when Buddhism came to Japan in the 6th century CE. But the actual and active intellectual and cultural exchanges between the peoples of Japan and India started in the early 20th century, initiated and promoted by Japanese philosopher and artist Okakura Tenshin and Kabiguru Rabindranath Tagore. Both of them encouraged painters of Japan and India to interact. Professor Taga's talk will focus on the exchanges between the painters of Japan and India and how they influenced each other in the early 20th century. His talk will trace the artistic trajectory of Okakura Tenshin and his relationship with the Tagore family, of his students, Yokoyama Taikan, Hashida Sunshoy, who were sent to Calcutta, Abhinendranath, who was influenced by the Morotai style, Katsuta Shokin taught Japanese painting techniques at the Government School of Art, followed by Arai Kanpo, who took classes a decade later, and the revitalization of the traditional painting techniques in the modern era. Gaganendranath and Abhinendranath Tagore learned the subtle, blurred feeling of softness and the Japanese brush and ink words and watercolor from their Japanese counterparts going to Japan. Mukul De left his mark as a pioneer of dry point etching in India. He visited Japan in 1916, accompanying Rabindranath Tagore, and interacted closely with Yokohama Taikan, Shimomura Kanzan, Arai Kampo, etc. Professor Taga will conclude his talk with the Japanese painters attracted by India. Truly a soft power interaction that fosters strong Indo-Japanese cultural ties, and that is what we at LCT are striving for. So a warm welcome to you, Professor Taga Masayuki, and we are looking forward to your talk for 50 minutes or 60 minutes, which will be followed by Ambassador Gurjit Singh San giving us the wrap-up, and Shreyas Kolpe will take over reading out the compliments and suggestions and the question and answers. So some of you who are new here, I would request you to please leave your email IDs, if any, in the chat box of the Zoom link, so that we will keep you updated and about the other programs that are due in the next coming months. So warm welcome to you, Taga Masayuki-san, and over to you. Please, Taga-san, please can you unmute yourself?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Dr. Gita, for the nice introduction. And actually, Dr. Gita-san summarized very nicely my talk. So, what should I start with? But anyway, today's my talk is that, as I Dr. Gita said, that the encounters between the painters of Japan and India in early 20th century. Why I chose this topic is that actually, as you know, that yesterday that government of Japan and India announced the successful conclusion of 2+2 ministerial meeting, and actually, Indo-Japan relations is so strong today, and since my experience or my career in the foreign service, my actually professional, what can I say, interest is more on the political affairs, or what can I say, foreign relation, foreign policy of Japan or India. But anyway, since I understand that Lotus and Chrysanthemum Trust is more focused on cultural aspect of the, so I try my best to talk on this subject. Actually, please go on the next page. That before talking, can I change? Okay, thank you. The main topic I just touch upon spiritual cultural linkage through the Buddhism. And actual exchanges that happened, as I said, in that early 20th century. I think last time that Dr. Binoy Behl talked on the webinar. So he's a person who did nice work on that Hindu deities worshipped in Japan. Uh, so in that talk, maybe you already got some understanding of that our historical or cultural linkage through Buddhism. So could you go for the next pages? So Buddhism came like this way, and next, please. So in the early period, that the first Indian person who visited Japan is Bodhisattva, who came to Japan in 736, and he did that uh, eye-opening ceremony of that great Buddha of Todaiji Temple in 752, and he passed away in Japan in 760. So this person is a first known person to Japanese who really visited Japan. But most of Japanese or Japan, of course, next please. Yeah, and this is a eye-opening ceremony. Actually, this is a this photo is that 1,250 years anniversary of that eye-opening ceremony of that great Buddha, and this is a picture of made 200 years ago. And please go next. And I think it's mentioned in the Hindu deities worshipped in Japan, I believe, that with the Buddhism or uh, Hindu gods and goddesses came to Japan. So all most of the Hindu god we have a Japanese name. So Saraswati is we worship as Benzai Ten, and next that next pages we mention other god and goddesses that Lakshmis we call the Kichijoten or Kishoten, and Tai Shakten is Indra, and Brahma Bonten. So we have all Japanese names that Hindu god. And today also, even particular temple uh, has the deity of, for example, Indra, Tai Shakten. We have very famous temple in Tokyo, Shibamata area. Tai Shakten of Shibamata is very famous, and Saraswati, Benzaiten temple in Ueno. Uh, Someone who visited Japan knows that Ueno area and Shinobazu Pond, Shinobazu no Ike, center of Shinobazu Pond, the temple is dedicated for the Saraswati or Benzaiten. Next, please. So, and with that, those Buddhism that also we uh, introduced that Sanskrit to character that we call Bonji or Siddhamatrika. So through Buddhism, we learn, and because of that, Japanese people, the perception of India we call Tenjiku. Tenjiku is that heavenly place. So, but this idea is very value. What can I say? Or kind of yearning that the place we don't know, but something very through the Buddhism, but the actual India we didn't know till very recently, and actual because we didn't have actual exchanges of the people till very recently. Very recently means very late 19th century and beginning of 20th century. So now I start that my today's talk. So, in early 20th century, at that time, of course, between Japan and India, we have started trade relation, especially through the cotton trade. So, economic relation has started, and actually, the cotton trade helped Japanese development or major era very well. But at that time, the exchanges of intellectuals or artists also started. And today's focus is this point. And first person who visited India in the very beginning of 20th century, philosopher Okakura Tenshin, Okakura Kakuzo Tenshin. Actually, he's a philosopher and artist and also great curator. Later, he became the curator of Boston Museum. Anyway, and he visited India in 1902. Actually, he went India to invite Swami Vivekananda to Japan. Actually, he was very much impressed by Swami Vivekananda's speech at the Chicago conference in 1893. So he wanted to organize a kind of religious leaders meeting in Japan. And for that, he wanted to invite Swami Vivekananda and visited India. Of course, he did meet Swami Vivekananda, but at that time, Swami Vivekananda's health was not so good, so Vivekananda could not go to Japan. But through the interaction with that Swami Vivekananda and through the sister Nivedita, he was introduced to Tagore family. Next, please. And actually, in 1902, Rabindranath Tagore, he was not in Kolkata. So Okakura Tenshin stayed in Tagore house. So Surendranath Tagore's house. So this is actually Okakura Tenshin had kind of exchanges with Tagore family, Abanindranath Tagore, Govinendranath Tagore, or like that. But during his stay in India, And when at that time Rabindranath was in Shantiniketan, but it's not to direct mention neither by Rabindranath Tagore or Okakura Tenshin at that time, but some report, indirect shows Okakura Tenshin visited Shantiniketan for 2 or 3 days. And during that time, they might have met in Shantiniketan. But anyway, later on, Okakura Tenshin met with Rabindranath in Boston. Actually, that one I will tell later. Next, please. And Okakura was very much impressed by the Tagore family, or like Obonindranath or Gogonendranath, that artistic value or of that to those people in Kolkata. So after went back to Japan, he sent two of his favorite art students, Yokoyama Taikan and Hishida Shunso. Next, please. Actually, at that time, these two painters are still young, but both of them, though Hishida Shunso died in his early age, Yokoyama Taikan lived till the post-war, and Taikan became one of the greatest Japanese painter. And they stayed, both Yokoyama Taikan and Shida Shunso, in Jorashanko Tagore House for several months, and they painted Japanese style painting. But at that time, uh, they are trying to create or find out new style of Japanese traditional art, which is a little bit different from traditional Japanese style art, and that called morotai. Morotai is vague or lifeless, or what can I say? Uh, so at that time, some critique in Japan is a little bit not too or a little critical about their style. Actually, this is a student of Okakura Tenshin, and they try to. But anyway, those two painters came to India, and they started showing Japanese painting. And then next, please. Oh, sorry. Uh, bring back, please. What this painting showed one and two. This painting, you see, and what this painting. One is that now 26th of this month is Krishna Janmashtami, and Yokoyama Tenshin made this painting, Krishna Lila, during his stay in Kolkata. And yes, what those Indian painters, Avanindranath or Gogonendranath, found or saw that this Yokoyama's painting. First thing is that what's this? Couldn't understand, but later on, the understanding is deepened. I just would like to quote from Jorashanko Dore, which Obonindranath Tagore wrote. I quote from Jorashanko Dore: "When Taikan painted for the first time on silk with light ink, I could hardly make it out. We are used to seeing the bright colors of Mughal and Persian paintings. And what was this? No colors, no ink, just a whiff of smoke. What a castle of hopes I had built up. Japanese art would come. I would watch them work, how they paint, how they put on colors, and what did I see? They would draw on silk with any odd piece of charcoal, then brush it off with a feather and then put some light ink over the whole. And that was a finished picture. I felt very bad about it and said to Suren, this is Surendranath, what is this, Suren? I can hardly make out what any picture at all. Suren replied, you will. You will, all right, get used to it first. And that was God's truth. After some time, I found that I had got used to see these pictures all right. I started liking them too. And next one is that another quote I've quote. It was that time why looking at Taikan's painting that it struck me to paint on wet paper. I used to see Taikan give a true wash of water on his picture and make it wet. I dipped my whole picture in water. When I took it out, I found out that a beautiful effect has been produced. Wash began from that day. Wash means that wash technique of Bengal school. And actually, one is this next piece. So the other side, this type, and sorry, Hishida Shunso, also influenced by Indian painting. So those painting they did before their visit to India and after the visit is different. And actually, this page shows two persons picture. Left side, this Kari side, this is Kari, is by Yokoyama Taika, and the right side is Shishida Shunso. And the central piece, it's related to Buddha's story. Left side is Yokoyama Taikan, and the right side is that,
About a Japanese artist,
yeah,
that Dr. Geeta. It's okay.
yeah, uh,
Remember, today is Wednesday.
Hishida Shunso. So,
Elizabeth, can you please? Okay. Okay.
can I continue?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
Mr. Taga.
yes. And this card was done by uh, Yokoyama Taikan and Saraswati by Hishida Shunso in 2003. And of course, during their stay in India, they also made a painting of that Mount Fuji or flowers in Japanese style, that black ink, and but also with that motif, they use like this picture. Next, please. And interaction or of the painters could be found from these pictures. Could you see the left side? One picture is done by Shunso, or Hishida Shunso, those days, 1903. And this, the down one, this is by Gaganendranath Tagore. And right side, this is by Abanindra, Abanindranath Tagore. If you see the down, this Defune, departing boat. This is Shunso Hishida. And this is Kiho. Kiho means returning sail by Yokoyama Taikan. And this the picture called Village Music by Obonindranath. So you can compare that Obonindranath and Gogonindranath also try to understand the Japanese style painting. Next, please. So actually, these are Obonindranath's work, and I don't talk much on each piece because I'm not a curator. So next, please. And this is Gaganindranath. So this painting, if you see this painting called Durga Pratima Visarjana, if compared with traditional miniature painting, which has a sharp uh, line, but this is almost no sharp line on the picture. So this is that because of exchange or interaction between Gaganendranath Tagore and those painters. Next, please. And after Yokoyama Taikan and Kishida Shunso, because they wanted to have more Japanese painter, Katsuta Shokin visited Kolkata and stayed Tagore House again. And also he taught government art school, government school of art in Kolkata. So next, please. And these encounters of Japanese painter was further deepened by Rabindranath Tagore. Actually, when Okakura Tenshin, Yokoyama Taikan, and Shida Shunso visited Kolkata first time, and first decade of 20th century. At that time, I think they have not much interact with Rabindranath Tagore, but Tagore's visit to Japan changed it a lot, or maybe made great impact to Rabindranath Tagore. Actually, Rabindranath Tagore visited Japan 5 times, okay? And his first time visit was 1916 from May 29th to 2nd September, quite some time. And during his stay, he did a lot of things mentioned in this picture, but I don't talk his visit. If I start talking about Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore and Japan, or Tagore's visit to Japan, it may take 1 hour. So I only focus on Tagore's related to Japanese painting or Japanese painter. So next, please. So first he arrived in Kobe and then went to Osaka and there are program. And after Kansai area, Kobe and Osaka, he shifted to Tokyo. And first he stayed in Yokoyama Taikan's house. And he was treated by Yokoyama Taikan because Yokoyama Taikan stayed in that Joroshanko long time before. So he wanted to welcome him. But at this moment, maybe Rabindranath Tagore did not realize very much about the greatness of Yokoyama Taikan. But later on, I just moved to the next panel, please. And after some days, Tagore shifted to Sankei-en. Sankei-en is the garden villa of Hara Sankei. Hara Sankei is very successful entrepreneur or businessman uh, of the day in the Meiji to Taisho era. And he is also the great supporter of Japanese traditional painters. And many painters are invited to Sankeian, and they did nice work there. And Tagore stayed this Sankeian, Yokohama. Actually, during his stay in Sankeian, he wrote Stray Bird. When he was staying in that Shofukaku, he was stayed in this villa for some time. And next, please. And during his stay in Sankeian, he saw some painting introduced by Hara Sankei. First one is this painting. Actually, Rabindranath wrote Japan Jatri or Japan tourist after coming back from Japan, and he mentioned about his experience in Japan and various aspects of Japan, and his description about Japanese culture, various aspects of Japanese culture, is very, very interesting and very precisely well described. So I'd like to quote his word, and this is about Japanese painting. Actually, during his stay in Shanghai, he was shown this picture. This picture called Goryu Sensei. Goryu Sensei means Master Goryu by Yokoyama Taikan. Actually, this is a very huge painting. Actually, I'm sorry, in this PowerPoint cannot be filled size, but what he mentioned after seeing this painting, they do not imitate modern European art, neither do they copy ancient Japanese art. They have freed themselves from the fetters of traditional practice. When I first saw Taikan's painting in Hara's house, I was amazed. There is in them no superfluity or anything fanciful. There is a force in them, but also restraint. The subject consisted of the Chinese poet of ancient times walking about inspired by his thought. Following them was a boy carrying a musical instrument without strings. In the background was a curving willow tree. Every line was full of life, yet there was no unnecessary disclosure of what we called technique, no fanfare of colors or tautosity, of line. Upon seeing it, one felt that it was very great and very true. Next, please. And he was also shown another one, Yoroboshi by Shimomura Kanzan. And what Shimomura Kanzan, the Rabindranath say, he said, afterward, Hara-san took me to a long narrow room. There, almost covering the whole of one wall, was a screen on which was painted a huge picture by Shimomura Kanzan. It depicted the arrival of spring after the long winter. There were no leaves yet on the branches of the plum tree, but white flowers had just bloomed, and their petals were drifting lightly to the ground. In one corner, a blazing golden sun has just appeared over the horizon, while on the other side of the screen, behind the naked branches of the plum tree, a blind man was playing to the sun. A blind man, a tree, the sun, and an expanded sky of gold. Never had I seen such a picture. It was as if the prayer of Upanishad, lead me from darkness to light. Yes, actually, Tamashoma Jyotirgamaya, yeah, had taken form before me. Not only that of the blind man, but also the prayer of the blind nature. Lead me from darkness to light was rising up to the world of light through the outstretched branches of the plum tree. In the midst of light was a prayer of the blind. This is, I quoted from Japan There Tree, Rabindranath Tagore um, wrote. And Tagore was so impressed by this painting. So he really wanted this painting. He asked Hana-san, I need this painting. I'd like to bring back. But actually, this is a very great work. And Hara-san could not give this painting. Actually, this is our national treasure now in our uh, National Museum. But Hara-san asked young Japanese painter Arai Kampo to make the copy of this. And he made it and brought to India in 1916. Okay, and that this small one, small photo, this I took in Kolkata, 2016. The photo of that copy done by Arai Kampo. I'm very happy to know this copy of Shimomura Kanzan's Yoroboshi, um, copied by Arai Kampo, is maintained very well, that kept very good condition. And next, please. So, uh, as I said, that we are not very sure about when Rabindranath Tagore first met with Kakura Tenshin in 1902, but at least sure in 1913. But Rabindranath Tagore visited Izura, where Kakura's hometown is. So next, please. So, and actually, during Rabindranath's visit in 1916, he brought painter Mukuru Day. And during his second visit, or third visit actually, in 1924, he brought Nandalal Bose to Japan. And after the visit to Japan in 1916, as I mentioned, that Arai Kampo made a copy of Shimomura Kanzan's Yoroboshi. Arai Kampo went Kolkata and stayed in again Tagore House and started. This is works by Kampo Arai. Next, please. And he visited various places, and this is a sketch of him. Next, please. And these are postcards sent by allies, friends, or that actually when he was traveling in the Gaya or those places, these Obanindranath or Gaganendranath or Mukurde Nandarar both send a postcard making some sketch on that too. So, and right side, this was given by Rabindranath Tagore to Kampu Arai. Next, please. Next, please. So, and this is a Mukuru Days, and Mukuru Day, as I said, visited Japan in 1916, and he was also have some interact with Japanese painter, and I believe that in his work also there are certain influence of Japanese painting. Next, please. And as I mentioned, Nandaral Bose, who went to Japan in 1924. These are painting by Nandaral Bose. You can see, and this is some black ink technique and those things. Thank you. Next, please. So these are the Japanese painters and Indian painters who interacted each other in that 10s and 20s of 19 early 20th century. And but after those peoples, there are many Japanese painters who were attracted by India very much, and they made a lot of painting. And I don't know, I don't want to mention everyone because so many Japanese painters. This is by Imamura Shiko on that village scenery. Next, please. And this is Nose Coset. He is a very well-known painter of that Buddhism painting or that painting of Buddha motif. And this is he did a wall painting of so-called Japanese temple in Sarnath, Muruganda Kuti Temple. Next, please. And this Akino Fuku lady painter who visited India many times, and she did this kind of painting. Next, please. And this Nishida Shunwei and made this the motif of that, for example, Taj Mahal or cows and the person with a turban. Next, please. And this is a very modern art. Actually, this is a little bit different from that traditional Japanese painting. Actually, before I saw several paintings by many Japanese. Many are very much attracted by India, and motif is India, and very well understood that, oh, this is an Indian scenery or Indian person. But this Shinnen Misako is that the Japanese style painter, but a little bit influenced. He was influenced by spiritual or core part of that Indian. So she made Japanese painting like this way. And she's a Japanese painters, or even today, till today, almost every year, she visited India, and not only making her works. Next, please. She also doing these workshop in where she visited. So these are some photos of Kolkata and Chennai, and since I was in Kolkata and Chennai, and I just do. So what I was trying to tell this latter part of that those Japanese painter attracted by India is that a kind of prologue, just those encounters between Japanese painters and Indian painters in early 20th century are carried over by the next generation of Japanese painters and Indian painters. And so even today, these interactions between the painters are going on. Thank you very much for my talk. I'm sorry, actually, I'm not the expert of that art and painting, so I cannot talk very professional way, but this is sharing of general idea about this Japanese painter, Japanese painting, and India. Thank you.
Thank you, Taga-san. Uh, uh, you are very humble, but I think you gave us such a marvelous exposition. At least I did not know most of it. So it was quite a revelation to
Yeah,
understand.
me neither. Me neither. Till I visited Kolkata in 1916.
Yes,
That's why I wanted to share
thank
this
you.
fact with my friends. Thank you.
So when we become diplomats, we actually think the world is something, but our experience that we gather gives us so many opportunities to learn new things that when we complete our career, we found that we have assimilated so much that we never started with. New interests, new experiences, new understandings. I mean, and I think in your case, this is fascinating. You know, you began with the Okakura Tenshin, who you explained actually went to Calcutta to meet Swami Vivekananda. And thanks to Sister Nivedita, he ended up meeting Tagore and his nephews. So I think that make a very interesting thing. And you ended up showing something very interesting, you know, how Indians want to learn Japanese art form. We have on the group Madam Shamla Ganesh, who's the Ikebana specialist, but not only flowers. What you showed about sumie, which was actually a very fine art, you know, it's not easy to grasp. And you have shown how people were learning that. So I think to me, the important thing which you explained was Tagore's reaction to seeing the paintings at his host's house when he realizes that there is a Japanese way of painting, which is not European in style, in emotion, in thought, and it is actually very independent. So Tagore, who was very keen on India's independence, saw in this a motivation for an independence of thought in art. And I think that is why he probably wanted to take that painting with him. And very interesting, you explained that he called the young artist and say, can you copy this painting? And that painting was taken, and as you can see, it is well preserved in Calcutta. You also given the names of several young artists who came to Calcutta, worked with Indian artists, and then went back. They gave a lot to the development of Indian art and took back certain things. I mean, like that portrait of Kali by a Japanese artist. I mean, I have never seen that before. Very unique. I mean, in the sense that Japanese Buddhists would actually paint Kali and would, you know, see it as art. I think that was fascinating. And equally fascinating was the glimpse you gave of certain artists who, some of them are still living, who have drawn inspiration from India. These are the people who, you know, give India-Japan relationship a color and a texture, which, as you started your lecture by saying that the 2+2 dialogue took place today between India and Japan, and we had a very good understanding. But that understanding owes a lot to a period of art, culture, and what you specialize in, the soft power, which actually binds our countries together culturally. And that leads us, perhaps easier, to have a more strategic binding as well. Taga-san, thank you so much. I'm quite actually bereft of words because you have really given us a wonderful expose of the intercultural interaction in the field of art between India and Japan from the turn of the 19th century to well into the almost the 21st century. And this has been a great period of intense action, but I think also it has a great amount of gentility built into it. The role of the Tagore family in this is invaluable. But they were the ones who were open to other influences. And you, I think, mentioned Tagore visited Japan 5 times. He's
Yes.
visited Sri Lanka, he's visited, Bali. And wherever he went, he imbibed and brought things back to Shanti Niketan and developed them. So I think this was truly a fascinating lecture, and we thank you. I think we can now seek some comments or questions, if any. Ita-san, do we have any?
Hello? Can I
Yes.
talk?
Yes, Mio-san, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for the, very, very interesting stories, especially, I didn't know about the young artists. I know Yoshida Hiroshi or some other artists who are inspired by Indian scenic or whatever. But by accident, actually, I was reading this book today. Have you ever read the Book of Tea, written by Kakuzo Okakura?
Of
Okakura
course.
Kenshin.
Book
Yeah.
of Tea and Idea of the East is the main.
Yeah, both of the books are incredible, but right now I had to do some other seminar. That's why I was preparing. First, I was reading in Japanese, and I have never read before. But this book is incredible. He's not writing not only tea. Actually, through the tea culture, he is writing about Asian culture, lifestyle, and versus Western cultures. Anyhow, just I wanted to recommend this book. If you read this one, again, you can, feel something, strong connection, especially Japan and India, Asian cultures and lifestyle.
Thank you, Mio-san. That is most interesting. The Book of Tea.
Yeah.
Gurmeet-san, can I?
Thank you very
Yes,
much. Yeah.
of course, Dr. Kulkarni, yes.
Namaskar, Taga-san. It's been a long time. We met in Calcutta when you were the Consul-General there. I'm still with IIM Calcutta. But I was completely blown away today by your talk and what you introduced. Actually, I should be very honest with you. Although I've been having a very long relationship with Japan, I did not know much of this, almost most of it. And when you spoke about Shinobazuike and the temple there, I was in Todai and I used to go to Shinobazuike many, many times just to sit and meditate. I had no idea that there was a temple like this. So it is so warming to me to see that. I think because India and Japan are now seriously coming close to each other for various reasons, I think these fantastic treasures which have been hidden away from most of us, I didn't know about it. If you hadn't unraveled this treasure, I wouldn't have known about it. And I'm sure there are thousands of my countrymen who have interest in Japan. Our interest would become so much more beautiful and fragrant if we could be told our own government should put this in to those who go to Japan or seek a visa to Japan, that you should know the relationship also has this facet. It is, I'm extremely grateful to you, Taga-san. I don't really have any words more than that. Deeply grateful. Namaskar.
Thank you, Kulkarni-san.
Yes, if I may, I'll read out a few comments from the chat as well as YouTube. So we have a few compliments from Dr. Sushila B. She has been attending our sessions for some time and is very happy to be associated with such distinguished members, and she would like to attend the same in all our endeavors in future. Thank you, Dr. Sushila. We also have Ramya Srinidhi, who is learning and researching in Kamishibai, a traditional Japanese street storytelling format, and she thanks the speaker for the interesting and enriching session. From Misako Shine, we have thanks for this lecture. Mrs. Ratnakumari, who also says thank you. It was wonderful, very interesting, and an enriching session. All the paintings shown here were glorious. And she thought of learning black ink painting, that is Sumie. Dr. Sushila again saying that it was an informative and interesting and enriching lecture on the art of both the countries, an excellent session. Dr. Ratnakumari again has left a comment about the Book of Tea. She finds it very interesting. There's also a complimentary message on YouTube from Ms. Divya Rupa, who finds it an eye-opening lecture.
Thank you.
So I would like to read out some compliments received on my WhatsApp from Jija Madhavan Harising, our one of our trustees. Indeed, a fascinating talk. I missed parts of it since I was outside attending a function this evening. Nevertheless, the gist I got was invaluable. She's always multitasking. Then from Major Divya, thank you, Dr. Geeta. Good evening. It's an amazing talk. Will they be conducting any black painting workshop in Bengaluru, which he showed in the last week? So I think this is something that we should look into, find out, and if Taga-san can help us, if there is any artist in India, we can have a workshop done. So from Dr. Harihara Srinivas, who says, very nice presentation, sir. Thanks a lot. So I would welcome any of the participants if they want to directly interact and ask certain questions, please go ahead.
Geeta-san, I forgot to ask Thaga Sensei, he in his presentation, I think it was the third or fourth slide where he captures a quote from Rabindranath Tagore on his observation about India and Japan society. He talks about Japan being the people being so clued into every detail, and that's where we significantly differ. Something like that. Is that slide, Thaga Sensei? Can you share that?
Shreyas, can you think you can do the screen sharing?
Or
that...
Geeta-san, if you have it, I will see it later. I don't want to waste anybody's time.
No.
But
Shreyas, if you can please do the screen sharing. It was the third or fourth slide and a quote by Rabindranath Tagore.
I think it was such a beautiful takeaway. Actually, Taga-san, probably you would know what I'm saying, talking about.
Yes,
it was talking about the India-Japan societal difference.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And yeah, actually, Japan Jatri.
Just hold it here. Just hold it. It may be here. No, next one. Just see that.
Next.
Wait a minute.
Next.
Wait a minute.
No. Yeah. This is by Obanindranath. And maybe
next one maybe. Wait a minute. Just a minute. No, next one maybe. Next one. Just hold it here. Rabindranath.
When Taikam painted, actually, maybe.
It was there.
Japan Jatri. Actually, it's a Bengali one, but we have Japanese translation.
Just hold it. This is the one, sir. This is the one on the left lower corner. Had you come here, one thing would have made you very happy and could be applicable in your work. Every aspect of everything has been made beautiful. Not even the tiniest detail has been neglected, which is where these people differ entirely from us. And the surprising thing is Rabindranath ji talked about it in 1916, and your society has maintained this over more than a century. Even today's Japanese maintain the tiniest detail for beauty, and it's just amazing. So I'm just floored. Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much, Dr. Kulkarni. Actually, I really impressed by reading Rabindranath Tagore's Japan Jatri, written in 1916. He I quoted only little part, but he mentioned so many cultural aspect of Japan, about Japanese poem haiku, about the Japanese tea ceremony, about Japanese flower arrangement. So when I spoke at the Ikebana thing, I always quote of Rabindranath Tagore's when he saw the flower arrangement or like that. So really, Japan Jatri is one of the source of my
Taga
and
Sensei, I had a very interesting question sometime back when somebody had asked me that you consider Japan like your own mother, because I lived there for a long time, and I said, yes, I do. Ahanaru Nihon. So that person even said, but then India is also your mother. Can you compare Hahanaru Indo to Hahanaru Nihon? Or can you compare that? So I said, well, Hahanaru Nihon wa ne, kanpeki na sakura o sagasu koto o oshite kureta. ただ、母なるインドは、すべての桜は完璧だと教えてくれる。
Wow.
So it's really, really, I mean, these two countries just, I don't even have words for it. Thank you.
Wow. What philosophical. Thank you very much. And about Miho-san's comment, I agree. Actually, Okakura wrote several books, but in early, first thing is that idea of the East, which he wrote, actually draft he did during his stay in India in 1902 and published in 1903 from London, and it became very famous. And but actually, unfortunately, this book in the very beginning, Asia is one, and then start everything. So because of this one word, later politically used as a propaganda. So from that point of, sometimes Okakura was misled by the, but actually idea of East, uh, if you read that book, this is really about culture of Japan, China, and India, and by describing these cultures, he wanted to show this is Asia. So I recommend also idea of East as well as Book of Tea. And when I talk about tea ceremony, I always quote from Book of Tea. Thank you.
Ramya, why don't you come and just ask the question yourself?
Yeah, good evening, and thank you so much. I have thoroughly enjoyed your session, and I have been learning, researching a lot about Kamishibai, which is a Japanese street storytelling format, and I'm extremely fond. Of Japan and the culture and the wonderful storytelling format that is Kamishibai, and I have been learning a lot about it. So I was looking at more of picture storytelling formats in Japan, and this workshop was very interesting for me. So would you be able to give me some leads or some direction on my research?
As I told in the very beginning that I am not the expert on art and culture, no. So I'm very sorry. I have not too much. Only this subject is concerned because during my stay in Kolkata, I found these things, and even myself, I associated with India for many years, but I didn't know, but I could found. So that's why I thought I have to share the thing. But actually, maybe about Kamishibai, I have to learn from you, and I think I don't have much idea more than what you have already have. Sorry.
Thank you.
So we should thank him now, and he must be quite late in Tokyo.
Yes.
So Gita-san, over to you for the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, Taga Masayuki-san. You just said that you are only a researcher and as modest as the Japanese are. But then we found that the amount of information that we gleaned from your talk today is enormous. I'm very surprised that the Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore and his nephews have adopted and adapted the techniques, especially the brush over, from the Japanese. I would see those paintings and say how beautifully they have done, giving it a muted effect, which was really something which we have not seen in our Indian paintings. It was a very, very wonderful talk, which all of us enjoyed. And you really brought out the soft power, though you are being a diplomat. I think, like Gurjit Singh San rightly said, you get so much of experiences, so much of things to do that I really thought you were an expert in art and culture, the way you spoke about and your understanding about these encounters between the two countries in the early 20th century. Thank you so much once again, Taga Masayuki-san. And I also thank each and every one of you for sparing your time and then staying with us till the end and asking and engaging the speaker in such very interesting conversations and questions. We will be bringing 2 more webinars next month. And one of the speaker was, as you had seen, Miho of Muse Creations. And it will also be our one of our trustees, Ambassador Nazareth San. So I would request to please leave your email IDs to be in touch base with our programs that we are doing. And good night and Shubharatri. Thank you so
Good
much.
night. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Taga.
you very
Thank
much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Namaste.
And thank you, Shreyas, for always giving us the much needed support.
Yes, thank you, Shreya. Thank you indeed.
But for you, this wouldn't have taken off since I am very handicapped. So thank you once again for the wonderful way and the precise and the precision that you bring to your work, you yourself being a researcher. Thank you so much.